Hey all, my name is Paul Borosky and I am the owner of Quality Business Plan, and what I'd like to do today is introduce you all to my intermediate business plan. And before we dive into that, just a little bit about me and then we'll talk about the intermediate plan. I am a professional writer. I mainly do business plan writing. However, I have published many books on Amazon. Also, I am also a adjunct finance professor and subject matter expert for business and finance. I am a very good writer, but finance is my love, and for most of my business plans, I do get a little bit carried away with the financials, but my financial models are pretty strong. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about my intermediate business plan. When I do my intermediate business plan, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the title right here, just to let the reader know what your name of your company is going to be. If you give me a logo, I'll put a logo right here. If not, I'll just put a generic logo in there for you. Also, on my title pages, I'll put my name and a little bit of alphabet soup behind it showing my credentials, and then I'll put a date under here. If you want, I'd be more than delighted to remove my name and leave the date here. So that's up to you. The next page is going to be the table of contents. In the table of contents, I'm going to go ahead and show the reader, whether it be yourself or somebody else, the main highlights for each one of the sections. For the intermediate plan, it usually runs about, I'd say about 20 to 25 pages. For this example, we're pushing 24 pages. Next page is going to be the confidentiality and disclaimer statement. I'm just pretty much telling the reader, whoever the reader may be, they can't share it. It's not theirs. Don't touch, just read, kind of a deal. Next is going to be an owner statement. This is the only writing I would ask you to do. This is not a required section. This is more of an addition. So if you want to go ahead and provide me with a statement as to why you've started your business or you want to start your business, what I'll do is I'll edit it briefly and then I'll put it in right here. It's a great way to introduce the reader to some of your passions, your thoughts and ideas about the business before we get technical into the business plan. The next section is going to be the executive summary. For the executive summary, I literally take aspects from the business plan, copy and paste, and put them into the executive summary. The reason that I do the executive summary like that is because you now have technically two different business plans. The executive summary will briefly and succinctly explain your business, what it's going to do, how it's going to do it, where, why, and so forth in 1 to 2 pages, giving you a brief overview of the financials as well as the need for the funding. So this is a brief, very brief, succinct section of the business plan. And then the business plan has the more information, has the meat, if you will, of the business. So some investors, what they want to see is they just want to see 1 to 2 page document. Boom, you've got an executive summary that is 100% aligned with your business plan, because literally I've taken information from the business plan, put it in here to make sure we hit the highlights and the most important topics that people want to see. When they go through the business plan or when they go through the executive summary, if they want more details, then they can go ahead and reference the business plan. And so here's where the actual business plan starts. What I'll do is I'll start with the company description. I'll pretty much just, in the company description, what's the name of your company? Is it a limited liability corporation? Is it a corporation? Location, and some of the products and services you're going to offer. Below the company summary, this is where I get into more details about the products or services you're going to be offering. For this example, is a tutoring company offering tutoring services as well as financial templates. So here's where I'll briefly describe some of your products and services. The next section is going to be a primary target market. Who is the main user, or who is going to be your main customer? For example, for a tutoring company, the main customer may be finance students, depending on the specialty. So I'll discuss the primary target market in a few sentences right here. Under that will be the competitive advantages. I use a graphical interface to keep the readers engaged. It will just, it's pretty straightforward, great service, original concepts. So I'll put 1 to 2 sentences in each one of these segments just to, highlight the important aspects of the company. You want this short and sweet because you want this to be able to catch the reader and for them to, fully understand how you're going to best compete in the marketplace. Next is going to be the location. Here's where I'm going to describe your location, talk about some of the benefits, and I love to put a little picture in here, just showing where the location is. Love to really highlight for the most companies, Access to major thoroughfares is important, so I'll talk about some of the major highways that are close to your location, and so on. Next section is going to be an industry analysis. Industry analysis is pretty short and sweet. I'm going to hit, this is an industry analysis, and it's not a market analysis. I'm going to talk about national overview of whatever industry that you're going to be in. I do get this information from IBIS World. This is not information that I go out and research. This is always provided to me. This way we make sure that A is consistent, and B, it's from an organization that actually is a professional at what they're doing. So I'll pull the information from IBIS World. I'll summarize it because I can't copy and paste from them. So I'll summarize the information, put it here, and then I'll talk about the industry growth and some other information right here. Do a graphical interface for this as well. This will be one page. The next page is going to be a SWOT analysis. I'm going to identify some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are relevant to your organization. And once we're done with that, next section is going to be the organization and management section. The organization management section, I'll talk about the ownership real quick. And then from there, I'm going to dive into the responsibilities, job responsibilities, show the CEO, CFO, finance tutors, personal finance tutors, and so on. And then I'll list some of the job duties. Excellent part about the organization and management section is that you're able to show your reader that you have experience in this industry, you know how to set it up, and you know what the responsibilities for each one of your employees is going to be. So it shows that you've got a plan going in there for your operations. Next section is going to be your organizational structure, CEO, CFO, managers. So this right here is a great way to show the chain of command for your organization. And again, it pretty much takes information here and it puts it into a chain of command, and it just gives a real good visual of how your business is going to be set up and structured. And it's really easy to read, and it's a great little format. A lot of lenders and a lot of banks like to see that. Next is going to be the marketing and sales. This is pretty much a customized template that I use for the marketing and sales. I mean, there's only so many different ways that you can talk about signage for a business or cold calling or email advertising and so on. So this is pretty straightforward. What I'll do is I'll modify the information to best suit your company needs. I'll talk about some traditional marketing, I'll talk about some social media, and then I'll talk about your website as well. So again, brief information. It just shows the reader that you know that you're going to be doing advertising, and it shows some of the channels that you're going to be exploiting. Next is going to be your funding request. And the funding request, this information right here, this is going to tell the reader or document for yourself how much money you need, and then it's also going to break down where in categories where this money is going to be going. This number right here, the startup cost, will always be equal to the first number in the first line of the funding request. Within this funding request, again, this is a template that I do modify because we have to have specific aspects of funding addressed in this section in order to meet the needs of the lender or the equity investor. For example, we're going to talk about anticipated funding, the term for debt. We're going to talk about how the funding is going to, if they give you the funds, how it's going to be paid back, and so on. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do a little graphical interface right here showing the startup cost, and this way it's going to be broken into percentages. Next part is going to be the financial projections. In the financial projections, I'll start with a little bit of a highlight, telling the reader what to expect. And here is a graphical representation of those highlights: profits, cost, and revenues. And this page right here is this part right here is going to be the assumptions. Before you get into the financials, you want to tell the reader, where you're coming up with these numbers. I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch tomorrow, let alone how much money I'm going to make for business plans, and I've been doing this for over 10 years. I don't know. It's not possible. However, if I'm going to do financial projections, I've got to tell the reader that I'm not just making these numbers up. Thus, we have to come up with a set number of assumptions showing that the numbers are reasonable based on reasonable assumptions. And so I'll go through a detailed list right here of various assumptions that I've used in creating the financial models. Once I'm done with that, now we can start talking about a little bedtime story for our reader or our clients. Financials, one of the most difficult aspects of the business plan to understand, comprehend, digest, and make some determining factors based on what you've read. So what I try to do is I try to make this financial projections as simple as humanly possible. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into daily sales. Here are the daily sales that we anticipate our organization to be able to reach in day one. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into some monthly labor. We're going to talk about the salary for the owner. We're going to talk about the manager. We're going to talk about the employees and anticipated rates of pay and the number of employees and the hours worked. Now, I don't break this into taxes and benefits and so on and so forth. Because taxes and the benefits are going to change on not an hourly, but a weekly, monthly, or annual basis. There's a lot of variables involved with that. So I like to just keep it short and sweet and make the assumptions for make up any taxes or benefits, put that into the rate of pay. So if you're going to pay your employees $10 an hour, but the taxes are, approximately 3% of whatever it's going to be, then bump up the rate of pay to $13 an hour to cover the taxes and Social Security and so on and so forth. Makes the structure a lot easier to use, a lot easier to read, and a lot easier to understand. Next section is going to be the fixed costs. I'm going to explicitly show the reader or yourself what your fixed costs are going to be on a monthly basis: the rent, utilities, office expenses, insurance, legal, advertising. And then there's always going to be that wonderful catch-all. You got to have that catch-all. You never know what's going to happen month over month, and so you want to have a little bit of reserve, and that's what the other is going to be. I'll then sum up the total monthly total right here, and then I'll break up the monthly fixed costs into percentages as well. Once I get that foundation set, then I'm going to dive into your profit and loss for the next 12 months. The way that I structure the profit and loss is I put it quarterly. A lot of lenders or a lot of investors, what they want to see is they want to see a 12-month projection, but they want to see it broken into quarters. And so that's pretty much how I structured it. So it'll be month 1, 2, and 3, then quarter 1. Then we'll go into month 4, 5, and 6, quarter 2. And then for the profit and loss, month 7, 8, 9, quarter 3. And then what we'll have is month 10, 11, and 12, which is going to be your quarter 4. Once I'm done with that, then I go ahead and sum up all that information and then put it into your pro forma income statement or your profit and loss projections for the next 5 years. And what I'll do is information's right here. Income statement, next 5 years for your projections. Once we go over that, then I'm going to put the balance sheet. The balance sheet is going to just, say pretty much what you anticipate your assets to be at the end of each year, the cash, inventory, property, plant, and equipment, and so on. All right, so that is pretty much my little magic trick right here for my intermediate business plan. It's a pretty diverse document. It covers all the important topics. It doesn't go too deep into any one section. However, it does give the reader an understanding of how your business is going to operate, what's it going to entail, how is it going to do in marketing, and it gives you a real good solid foundation for your financial projections. So hopefully this video was helpful, and if you want some more information on the intermediate plan, please pick a phone, give me a call, and I would be absolutely delighted to help. And here's my information right here. All right, thank you. Have a good one.